Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. I am delighted and honored and humbled to have today's guest on today. He's a brother from another mother, Tolu. Tolu is a genius. He's a digital marketing expert, helping people to generate profits through webinars. He has this free 200K webinar master copy on his page, which we'll link into the show, but you'll find that in the show notes. So let me tell you about this brother. He's a master at marketing. He's a master at networking and meeting people and leveraging digital resources such as webinars, podcasts themselves, ads. In fact, we connected through his ads, right? His ads are on point. His copy is on point. All of these things he puts in place. So if you're looking for a great resource to help you take your business to the next level, this is your guy. He has a company called Mastermind Your Agency, and he also has an amazing podcast called Mastermind Your Life. Tolu, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you, David. And, we got to give a big kudos and shout out to David, because David is the man. He's pointing to clients. He's how I discovered my gift podcast. So shout out to you, David. Appreciate you,
Appreciate
being here. Yeah.
So, bro, this show is all about all about discovering your gift and finding what your talents are and then leveraging those talents and making some money doing those great things. But I want to take a step back. I want to go into the story of Tolu, the journey of Tolu.
Yeah.
Like, where does it start for you? From childhood to the entrepreneur you are today.
I think the journey started when I was incredibly young. I've been one of those guys whereby and my parents tell me this, they're like, yo, when we told you not to do something, that's exactly what you did. And you always figured out a way to work around or, figure it out. And I think from there, I've just been exposed to a lot of different environments, from boarding school in Nigeria to schools here in America to the Marine Corps, just going through different events that I found challenging, but at the same time, growth orientated. They really helped me to grow as a person. They really helped me to be more. And I'm thankful. My journey is incredible. And whenever I think back about, everything that I've been through, it gets me motivated, man. It gets me invigorated to serve and to grow and to develop potential and to develop other people's potential too as well.
What are some of those things that you had to grow through? Right. Tell us, take us into some stuff. Some of the drama that people don't always see, the behind the scenes.
I think earlier, when I think about it, definitely boarding school in Nigeria. That was like a huge eye opener because, before then I was in the States. So the Nigerian boarding school, these are Nigerians, and they're aggressive, they raw, cut from a different cloth. So that definitely impacted my mind. I think after that, it was the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps took me through, I'm talking about stripped everything that I thought I knew about life. And everywhere we go, people want to, this grind through an obstacle, determination. I really thank the Marine Corps for being an accelerant in terms of my discipline, my go-getter attitude, and understanding that difficulty actually brings out the greatest potential in human beings. I think after the Marine Corps, that's when I was really rambunctious. I was super rebellious. That's when I got into my stint at jail. I was locked up.
No way.
Yeah. Wait.
You got to go into that. That's been my journey too. So I'm really curious to hear what your
Yes, there there was a woman that I was dating at the time, and I thought I had to be a man by being like super, like, "Look, this is how things work, and we're gonna do things this way." And I thought I was quote unquote saving her, and I went way too far, like trying to push and shove and trying to, direct things that if somebody doesn't want to change, just leave them as they is, like you can only lead a horse to the river. You can't force it to drink. So that whole stint landed me in jail for about like 8 months. And I think 5 of those were in the correctional facility, and then 3 was on work release.
Wait,
And
how old were you, and what was what did they convict you of? And I'm sure the listeners want details, so I'm just asking for the
yeah,
details.
so how old was I? This was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. So maybe I was 25ish, 24ish, something like that
Mm-hmm.
nature. And was it? I forget what they call it. I think it was assault,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, or like or something like that. I don't remember the exact, but I know it was something assault, I guess, second degree, third degree, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
then I knew from there my behind was in jail. Like I was
Mm.
sat down there really hard, and I had to think about life, and I don't ever want to be in this position ever again.
Mm.
And I remember what's crazy is that even before I got into jail, that whole situation, like just being in that kind of situation, made me realize, like, okay, this is not what I want to do with my life. This is not who. So even as like the debilitation and the debate and all that kind of stuff was going on, I started entrepreneurship. I was started working with an agency, and I was just grinding. This was a music marketing agency called Digital Science Media. And I was just there showing up every day, like making calls, building campaigns, Facebook ads, webinars, like, because what I said to myself back then is that situation with the whole, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
So what is me? Me is business, is entrepreneurship, is building. So that became a great catalyst to make me. It's almost like I looked at that situation and said, that's not how I'm going to go out in life. I'm not going to become another statistic, another stereotype. So that really gave me a quote unquote rude awakening.
Yeah. So take me back to jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were the, because obviously you came out changed man. What was going on in there? What were you thinking about? What was going on?
Yeah, I think, when I was in jail, from what I remember, I was thinking about God, first of all, because I didn't want to go down a path of uselessness. Like we see some people in life whereby they keep going down that ladder. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, look at you, and this is crazy, and oh my God, this he's gone, and this no, there's no hope. So first thing was definitely God. The second thing was I played a lot of chess. Like you have a lot of time because you literally just waking up, and you don't. It's like the TV is there, phones are there, there's chess. And I read a lot too as well. So I was reading books, I was praying, I led like a prayer circle.
Mm.
Um, I was on the phones every once in a while. And the crazy thing is that I had the agency. I was a co-founder of the agency while I was in jail.
Wow, amazing.
So yeah, I was still kind of. They was like, "Yo, Tolu, what's the passwords?" And stuff like that. And can you help with this? So I was still
You
trying to.
you had Wi-Fi, and you had the whole. You were running the whole business. Still.
No, so I like for the 5 months I couldn't do anything, but then they gave me work release because I applied for it. So I think like the last 3 months I had work release. So I was actually going to work physically and working, and then at the end you would come back in, clock in, and you'd be right back in that cell. So and the cell is kind of like a dormitory. So they have like a whole bunch of beds and people in it. But when I think back at that time, it was, even though I'm in this situation, I'm not defined by this situation. I define myself.
That's right. Wow, brother, that's powerful. That's powerful. So
Yeah.
take me back a little bit further beyond that, right? Like when you think about it, at the end of the day, most people have, multiple gifts, at least one dominant gift. What is your dominant gift?
That's a great question. I think one of my dominant gifts is the ability to motivate people's visions, or like the higher level, like when I'm talking to people, and I've noticed that nowadays, was like when I'm talking to people, I don't talk to people as who they are right now. I talk to people as what they could be.
Mm.
And that's how I try to operate with people. I don't try to operate with them from where they are right now or even like below who they are. I try to, like, man, I'm operating with somebody that has extreme potential, somebody that's unlimited, somebody that can snap their finger and change the course of history. So I think my gift is when I interact, engage with people, I'm trying to engage with the higher level version of themselves.
Mm. Wow. Wow. And when did you notice this?
I think I probably noticed this in the Marine Corps.
Mm.
Because in the Marine Corps, when you go through basics, and the 3 months is just hell, and they would just try every single thing to just like this, man. It's like being grilled 48 different times and 48 different angles. And I remember that people would come to me for motivation. Like either we would pray or, hey, Tolu, can I just talk to you real quick? And hey, man, I just want to hear some words from you. And I just remember this being an endless source of motivation, just like pouring into people. Like, you can do it, man. Like, you're built differently. Like, who you are right now you're greater than that. So yeah, I think it's from there that I saw that.
That's dope. That's dope. So now take me through this process into this whole agency world. So you started digital science media, it sounds like, and
Yeah.
and,
So
and and take me through that whole process, the genesis of your agency.
yeah. So digital science media was with Matei. He's about 10 years older than me. I always say he's a crazy Russian guy. But I'm so thankful for him, and I am eternally grateful because I learned so much about business and marketing and communication, like so many skills. In fact, that was kind of like the um, launching pad for me. So with digital science media, I remember that there was a time I was trying to do music and stuff like that, and like some business stuff. And that time he was a producer. He already owned like a software development company, and we would just exchange ideas back and forth, and do some music here and there. But it was like, look, let's serve these music people that need marketing. And he was doing it for this artist, JON, that was under his label, Open Source Entertainment. And it was like, okay, look, let's, mash heads together and let's build. And I just remember showing up like with a tremendous amount of energy, like every single day. Like, and he started giving me books to read, like the Lean Startup and how to ride a bicycle and sell, all kinds of different books and things of that nature, traction. And I would drive, show up to his place, and start making phone calls. And I remember I closed somebody called No Cash. He's this big artist that has his YouTube channel, over 500,000 subscribers, and he does renditions of like famous singers' music. And then we was like, okay, how do we monetize him? And we started getting clients here and there. And I remember one day it was like, okay, like Tolu, like you're bringing in so much, and then the company was about to be formed. So it's like, okay, how do we, he's obviously the mastermind. So, the mastermind gets, the bulk. But it was like, okay, look, 60-40. You get 60, I get 40. Back and forth, back and forth. I got 35%. He got 65%. And that was like my first taste of business on my own. So I was handling a lot of things. So like client communications, like checking over their ads, communicating with clients. And I was developing strategies like, oh man, this automated thing can connect to this and it's going to explode their profile. And like this giveaway mechanism, we can do follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube channel, Spotify, and just creating, because, when your client has a demand, you have to fulfill the demand. And, right. As long as we're alive, we have these creative ideas and creative energy. So I just remember like just going through the grinder of business, man. Like meetings, me and him would have a scrum meeting every morning, like Monday through Saturday, like 15, 20, 30 minutes. And, you're learning from somebody that's been in business a lot longer than you. So all of that rubs off on you. Now, I think it got to a point whereby I built out this super huge membership. It's called Indie Artist Accelerator. And I was like, look, Matei, we got to digitize the knowledge and stuff of that nature. And I remember he was like, okay, so I built out this whole curriculum and like put all the knowledge inside of it. And, he would go live on Zoom, I think like once or twice a week. And we would get people in at $59 a month. And it was like, okay, this is great. We got some traction. How do we go ahead and push this to the next level? Man, there's this thing called webinars. Like you can get a whole bunch of people on. He was like, man, I don't know about no webinar and like all that stuff. Da, 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 da. I was like, look, I'll build it out. You just got to show up. I think that time we used a webinar jam. I had a Facebook page, landing page, Facebook ads, everything was going to it. And lo and behold, like, a bunch of people showed up. He gave this amazing presentation. They took the offer at the end. And some of them even became like full scale clients. So, it started off with that offer of the membership at 59, I think it was. But then there was like, nah, we want the 1,200, 1,500 per month, plan. And we just kept running the webinar back and back. The thing that kind of like made me be like, you know what, this is not going to be for me anymore, is when I saw the distribution. He came up with this Excel sheet. He was like, okay, this is how we're going to distribute the profits. And I was like, wait a minute, like this looked like everything going to you, and you throwing the scraps at me, and I built the whole thing. So
wait. You got to break something down for us, because when you say the distribution, because I thought it's 35, 65. Was there something that was happening that was like, where it made it like 1090 or something? Like break it down. What was the distribution?
I can't exactly remember, and I think he just came up with some calculations. He was like, man, something about advertising spend and the time that he's spending on there servicing the people too as well. And I think we just butt heads on, hey man, like this, I'm not sitting right with this, man. And I think from there we kind of just like gelled over it, but I kind of knew like, okay, look, I'm not 100% in control of my future. And I want to be the captain.
Were you full time with him at this point? Was this what you were focused on full time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think I also had like a job on the side, like Target or something like that. And another one at this health clinic. But that was like the main thing. The main focus was the agency. And it kind of started getting under my skin a bit. Like, okay, I want to go into, because I kind of saw how I was like lifting a lot of the weights in the company, because he had another company that he was running, um, a software development company, and a lot of his time was with that.
Mm.
So I was kind of like the president, CEO, like in charge of everything. We had team members and staff and all kinds of stuff, and I was basically the one in charge of everything.
Yeah.
And one thing that's interesting, and this is why I'm gonna start pushing like everybody needs a podcast like really hard, but I started doing podcasts not because I was trying to get clients, or I just wanted to talk to people, and that I found that interesting. And before you know, like I'm doing a podcast, Mastermind Your Life, and hey man, what do you do? At the end they're talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, I do some Facebook ads and webinars and stuff like that. And um, they say, Facebook ads, webinars, I need that. How much you charge? And I was like, look, they charge you like 1,000, 1,200, and I started getting clients one by one. Initially, I put them under the umbrella of that agency. I just was like, okay, this is going to be a separate division for these guys. I'll take care of it and everything like that. And I remember I started taking care of it, and everything was kind of relying on my shoulders. So I was fulfilling for these people that started coming in from the podcast, but I was still fulfilling for the agency space, the music marketing space. After a while, I was kind of like, these people all identify, know, and correlate with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the podcast was the vehicle. Hey, I know Tolu. I don't all this other stuff. Tolu's a guy who supplies my needs and the marketing and having everything set up. So I also was kind of like, you know what this is the vision. I'm going to voyage out, take those clients with me, and Mate, that's his name. Here you go. Here's the 35%, and we're gonna slowly go our separate ways. And I remember talking to him about it, and that was eventually the decision we came to.
How was that process? Did it go smooth? Was it kind of rough?
It was smooth. Thank God it wasn't like, nah, screw you. What do you mean I'm going to my lawyer and I'm gonna take everything? It was really smooth, and what we did was basically just have like a separation period where I was still assisting and helping and just being there, and but time went on, and I was like, slowly my energy wasn't going to the agency as much. It was more focused on these people who had come through the podcast.
So tell me about how things transition from this digital science media kind of, you're working with artists, and then now Mastermind, your agency, kind of shifts into consultants, experts, coaches. Talk to me about that transition. When did you get clear on your market or your avatar?
I think one thing that's interesting is that my avatar kind of came from me talking to people that I thought was interesting, people that were that looked like me, people that were maybe younger than me, a little bit younger, a little bit older than me, and from there, business just happened. Like, or I remember I spoke to this one guy. He came on as a client. Then he like brought 4 other people as clients. So, or I would talk to other people, and they would be like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do these ads. That's, and it just became this mechanism whereby I would talk to people, and then from there, a percentage of people would become clients.
Very nice, very nice. So this whole thing, it really kind of, if you go back to it, back to your gift, is motivating, helping people, seeing a higher level than they see it for themselves, and your natural desire to uplift people kind
Yeah,
of led you on the path of creating a podcast where you could utilize that gift to continue to inspire, motivate, uplift people. And you also have developed your skills in the digital marketing realm. So now you're serving a need. But the ultimate thing you're doing really is you're still doing what your gift is, which is
the
motivating and helping them, and you're serving them at the same time.
exactly.
So I mean, that's beautiful, man. So I would love to talk about the development process, right?
Mhm.
Even before we jumped on this podcast here,
Yeah,
you were just you were learning. You were spending some time learning, and you're always learning. I mean, in the conversations that we've had, you're always like, I'm learning this new thing or that new thing. Like, and it's amazing to me because I think the people that are the most successful are those who continually learn. So, could you talk to me about the importance of development and continually learning and improving yourself?
it is the utmost, most powerful thing, not just as a business owner, but as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as I'm going into business more and more, I
Mm-hmm.
think this would be my first official year in business at the end of
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Yep.
Um, the there's what I've also started understanding is that you want to learn from people who are at the pinnacle
Mm-hmm.
of what it is that you do, and not
Yeah.
just learn, but what you have to say to yourself is, why do they think this way? Why did they
Right.
make those decisions? Like, what kind of frame or what kind of logical reasoning are they using to make those decisions? Because
Yeah.
we tend to look at the people around us, and what I started realizing after buying multiple courses and programs and all these low ticket products, and you want to study the guy that is blowing, like, you guys are not even in the same star field. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's so high up, he looks like one of the angels.
Mm-hmm.
You want to study the woman that's so high up, like, you're like, what in the world? Because as human beings, that person does not have two brains. They don't have an extra set of antennas. It's just that they have gone through rigorous experience, training, learning, understanding, spending millions trying to know what works and what doesn't work. So because of that, they are the juiciest fruit to learn from. They are the most abundant uh, in terms of like rich
Yeah.
experience, nectar for you to really like drink from. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why learning is so important is because I think somebody said, first you learn and then you remove the L, you begin to earn. And
Mm-hmm.
your ability to learn, I just saw this other reel, and it was Facebook's first female engineer. And they were asking her, they were like, what makes Mark Zuckerberg so special? Like, what is it that you noticed about him that made him so special? And she said, I've never seen somebody that their ability to learn is so extremely quick. So while Mark was building out Facebook, he was quickly learning what works and what doesn't work. Because a lot of times, business owners, we're too bound by what doesn't work because we poured energy and time and resources into it. So we're like, oh no, this thing's gotta work. And it don't work. Drop it. You gotta go learn what works and focus like, think about this, right? And this is why learning is so important,
Yeah.
is that everybody had 24 hours in a day.
Right.
So the coach on this level, they're like, oh man, I got to create the content myself. And then from there, I'm going to serve my clients myself. And then from there, I'm going to publish the email myself. And then from there, I'm going to do the outreach myself. So that's the way they think. Who knows where they learned it from, but they learned it. Now, the person one level above is like, I'm going to get a VA to help me do this so I have more of my time back so I can work on another thing. Then the person above that is like, look, I'm going to hire a manager to oversee my outreach and train them on exactly what the numbers should look like for this week. And they give me a report and I meet with them once a week. Right. So that way it frees up times 3 more of my time plus guarantee outreach. So it's like there's so many different levels to it. Is that one person has found how to take 1 hour and the way they use that hour, they gain back a day. So the highest individual on that spectrum can take 1 hour and gain years. Like Jeff Bezos. How do you use an hour and gain back years?
Wow.
Your thinking has to be at almost the pinnacle of thinking.
Jeez, that's deep. It's so deep. You got to expound on this, man. Like, this is. I love productivity. So,
yes,
expound on this a little bit.
So, as of late, I've been trying to study what billionaires do, and I've been trying to study what they call mental models. Ways of thinking. And everybody that's listening, one of the books that Jeff Bezos mandates that his executives read is called The Goal, American Edition. And The Goal is a story about a plant owner that's in a division. The plant for the last couple of months has been failing to produce a profit. In fact, it's in the negative. The division manager shows up and says, look, Harry, we're going to close this plant down and fire all 280 workers. Unless you can get this plant profitable, not just profitable, we want to see a 15% margin in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So what did Harry have to do? He had to look at his entire process and then find ways to increase the productivity while still. So that pressure came in and made him reevaluate everything. And lo and behold, they hit like 13%, got a huge contract at the end. And they found out, like, where in the business do you have constraints or bottlenecks? What that means is that where in the business are the areas whereby the capacity is so limited, or the output or the energy being generated is so low that it's causing other areas in the business to be steamrolled down negatively. So the learning is so important, because as you learn, you can begin to implement those higher level things into your business. For example, I told one of the guys who does my accounting for me, like, hey, look, not only do I want you to do the accounting, but I want you to actually type in the weekly numbers, and this I'll check the report at the end of the week. The reason I did that was because I used to spend like 1 to 2 hours every week doing that. But now I've given it to somebody that I paid $300 every month to do it. So that has saved me time. So that's like 4 to 8 hours in a in a month, maybe even 5, depending on what kind of month it is. But 8 to 10 hours. I need to be using that to do higher level thinking things. So a lot of my thinking now is like, I need to go study how Amazon, tech, Uber, Google, like, how do these companies operate, and what's the essence of those principles they've put into use? And then how do we distill that into our own businesses now? And I think the person that really caught me on to this way of thinking was Serge Gattari. Guy's 24 years old. And his company jumped from making like $100K a year to 2.2 million the next year. And he broke down exactly. I actually interviewed him this week, and it made me understand that, okay, the reason I am creating my output right now is my level of thinking, or the quality of my thinking, or the thoughts that I have. That's what's leading to this right now. If we take our brain right now, me and you, David, and we put Jeff Bezos' brain in our head, I guarantee you next year our company will be top. Or we take top 50 Amazon engineering or business and the top 50 people in Amazon, right?
Yeah.
We take their brains and we replace it with any one of ours right now. But when you think about it, a brain is just an organism. Everybody has the same type of organism for our brain, but it's what we're feeding our brain and the level of thinking that then that's why a lot of coaches and business owners, they're kind of stuck in this, 100K a year, 200K. Like they kind of stuck because their thinking has not graduated to how do I take 1 hour and multiply it into 6 months. Maybe what I do is that I hire 6 to 10 virtual assistants that go on my Facebook and they start sending messages out to everybody that is in my niche and saying, hey, I would love to share a quick video as to how we're growing people's like you's businesses instead of the business owner trying to do it themselves.
Yeah, that's good. Man, you're dropping so much game, bro. This is amazing. So, I love it. Speaking of this topic, right? You're talking about duplicating somebody's self and leverage. One thing I've been studying on is you're probably familiar, flow, how to operate in flow, and how how you get in the zone and doing something. And one of the things I'm learning is there's work ethic and then there's leverage ethic, right? Work ethic is what you have with you just working hard, but
That's right.
leverage ethic is what you just talked about. You're using levers, and what Bezos and Buffett's and all these greats do is they use the power of leverage. So speaking of that, talking about your agency and the work that you do, um, how how would you tell somebody or help somebody to monetize their gifting, right? Because we know a lot of people that are talented. You work with a lot of talented, probably
Oh yeah.
musicians, talented artists, talented influencers. They might have 12 million followers, but they don't know how to monetize it. They might
They don't.
have amazing skills in singing and dancing and consulting and acting and whatever you want to call their gifts. How does one monetize those things?
So the first to monetize means what that you give value to people and they pay for it. So it's so valuable that they give you money for it. One there's a couple of different things and I think we can talk about leverage. Now, if you have a following and you have people that really rock with you and people that want to do business and you want to monetize yourself, one of the slowest ways to do business is one-on-one, because that person may say yes, they may say no. The guy that I'm learning some of this stuff from, he just finished giving a webinar, and on the webinar there was about 330 people, and his energy is one, but he has duplicated himself 330 times because all those people are listening to him simultaneously.
Right.
So that's one way to really be able to leverage. And that's one way to really be able to monetize is to duplicate yourself as many times as possible. And we're seeing that the economy in the age that we live now in the attention economy. So if you're somebody that has a massive amount of attention on you, the way you want to monetize it is that you have to create what's called your offer, right? And Alex Hormozy talks about this with his $100 million offer. And in it, he's saying, how do you give somebody something that's so irresistible, so quick, so valuable that even when they pay you, they feel like you're paying them? Like, man, I just paid you $5,000, but this thing you're giving me is so good, man. I feel like you're the one paying me $5,000. And a great example is the weight loss. You can go to the gym, you can work out every day, 5 days, restrict your diets, all kinds of stuff. Or the alternative is lipo. Somebody just goes in, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you're that much more skinnier. So why is it that people pay thousands, almost 10 grand to do a lipo instead of the gym that costs $10 a month? Because the lipo gives them those results instantaneously, right? And it's long term. So that's almost how you should think about your offer. How can you give people those results instantaneously? People fast food, they want like the most extremely valuable thing that's going to grow them, do everything for them as quickly as possible. So the other thing is, wherever human attention is, you need to be there. So especially the human attention of the people who are more likely to buy from your niche. So you create one reel, and that reel is seen by 500,000 people, 100,000 people, 20,000 people, even 10 people, right? That's leverage because you did it once and you put it out there, but thousands to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands people, some people even get millions that view it. So that's a hack. Like between me and you, David, Instagram can take any one of our reels and be like, okay, let's just give it this thing millions. If they wanted to, of course, they have their algorithm that does it for them. But somebody in Instagram at the top could be like, oh, I know David. Let me just click on his reel right here. And boom, that thing gets 10 million views. So you already having a business. Imagine if 10 million coaches and business owners saw a reel whereby you were given extreme valuable. Do you know how many DMs you would have? How many sales calls? How many, it would help the business grow extremely. So they need something whereby they can put out content on these channels that it's one to many. So a webinar is one to many, an email is one to many, a podcast is one to many. So you want to put stuff that's one to many and get it out there. You also have to have a sales process, so if somebody comes in, they purchase your thing or they're about to purchase it, are they talking to you? Are they talking to a sales professional on your team? Is there some kind of qualification process? So you got to have these things in place because you have to be able to handle bulk, or you have to be able to handle scale.
Let's go.
And sometimes you can start off with something slow and low and then build your way up.
That's gold, man. That's game. So talk to us about Mastermind, your agency, and what you guys do, how you help clients, how you serve people.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we do is understanding the value that they bring to the market. When I'm working with a new client, I'm like, okay, how does this person and the value that they have, maybe is the experience, the knowledge, what is it that they bring to the table? And once I understand that, then it's like, okay, let's put together first we got to systematize them. So we give them a system. We use Go High Level. I love Go High Level for, I make sure I get all the clients on Go High Level. That's one thing. But then I take them through a process. So step one is client/avatar identification. And it's like 36 questions. And it's all like, who's your client? How old are they? What TV shows do they watch? Like, I want you to just exhaust your brain with every single thing that your potential you need to understand your avatar. You need to understand who you're going to start putting your ads and your webinar and everything that you have in front of. Mm-hmm. The second thing that I take them through is high ticket supercharger. So what that means is like, how good is your high ticket offer? Like, how's your program aligned with your prospects' needs? Like I ask them like 20 plus questions there, and it's designed to make them really think about their offer and supercharge it. Like, oh, I don't have this. Let me add this in. Like, how can you make it better? What are your competitors doing? Like all kinds of questions. After that, we're going through the webinar presentation, the masterclass presentation. So we have a template. Inside that template, it's how I took a whole bunch, like Russell Brunson's, Colin Boyd, everything that I've learned myself and working with clients. And I have a template that they go through for their presentation. I always tell people, whenever you give a presentation to people, You want that presentation to be energized. You want that presentation to be full of life. You should feel energetic connection to that present. You can't go in front of an audience and be like, "Hey, my name is, and I think that this
Mm-hmm.
might be good for you." No, because they're feeding off your energy like right there. I think after I do that, then we go into their systems. So we start setting up like the automation, their business number, the SMS sequence flow, the email sequence flow for the webinars, appointment confirmation. After that, we start running ads. So now we're running ads to this presentation that's going to happen at a certain date. And then you have a system that's automating, sending out the emails and the SMS. After that, they get on they do their presentation, a percentage of people will book. And from there, it's up to them to close those deals, and close a percentage of those deals. And then we can run that system back like over and over again. Recently we started putting like appointment setters that, we can send like a text message blast, and then whoever responds, the appointment setter follows up with them, and gets them booked on the calendar. I have things like video editing, David, that you've used,
Oh
like
yeah,
short form
solid, solid work. Y'all
Yeah.
need any of that? Holler at Tolu and mastermind your agency.
Yeah. So I think that's, also kind of like being a air, or what is a sounding board for people that, hey, I did this and this didn't go as I thought. And I try to get this and this, just being there for people. So I
Yeah,
think that is really what encompasses what I'm doing right now.
I love it, bro. I love it. So, final couple questions here for you. When you think about um, the work that you do and helping people to make monetize the gift, what keeps you going, right? What makes you say, "Hey, this is what drives me to do this"? What because there comes a point the amount of money becomes almost, it's like what's the difference between making 50,000 and 100,000, or 100,000 and 200,000? It's no real difference. So what drives you to keep doing
Winning, seeing them win,
it? Mm.
seeing the look on their face when they close a deal, when they, oh man, I just closed somebody like for 4,000. I just closed somebody for 5K. I made 30K from this webinar. I made 20K from, and I'm just like, let's go. I'm like King Kong, like boom, 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 like like let's get more. Like I'm stupid excited, because that instills confidence in them that their value is being appreciated,
Mm.
and knowing that I designed that system that helps them to get their vision acknowledged and paid for, and they're positively impacting that person, and I positively impacted them. I'm like, man, I need some more of these.
I love it. I love it. And the final question we ask all people on our show. You weren't prepped for this, but here's the question: what's the difference between one's gift and one's purpose? One's gift and one's purpose.
Well, your gift should serve your purpose. Your gift should serve your purpose. Your gift is like the apps on your phone, and the type of phone you have is the purpose that you can give people. So the purpose is the bigger picture, because a purpose is a direction. There's people that got gifts, but they use it for the bad thing. They man, this brother can talk your ear off, but then he talking to you, and now you smoking something that you can't even identify. So gifts, and I like to think of gifts as embodiments of God's creativeness, of his creativitiness and his abilities. So whenever we see a gift, I'm like, oh, that's an extension of God working through somebody. That's one of God's gifts. That's one of his blessings for that person. The
Yeah.
purpose is, what has God written for you in the book of life? Like, what did God see you accomplishing in life? Like, what was it that you were supposed to do? So when I think about your purpose, I think about leverage. And
Mm.
I think about, or just a quick analogy off the top of my head. When I think about your purpose, I think, how does it affect the masses? How does it affect humanity? How does it affect history or eternity? Right?
Mm.
That
Mm.
your gifts are then like what are those things that help you to achieve your purpose?
Mm.
Like, I think it's almost like the difference between strategy and tactics.
Mm.
Strategy is the overall goal
Mhm.
or the direction of the goal, a goal that you're trying to achieve, or some goal, or something that has been put into action. Like, hey, this is a strategy for me to lose 40 pounds in the next 4 months.
Mhm.
Then tactics are like the steps that you use to achieve that goal. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to eat anything later before 2 hours before bed. If it's anything, I'll eat fruit. So that's a tactic,
Right.
right? Another tactic may be I'm going to start working out 3 times a week.
Mm.
Another tactic could be I'm going to replace sugary foods with fruits, natural fruits. So you have all these tactics in that help you to achieve the ultimate strategy of losing 40 pounds. So when I
Mm.
think about the purpose and I think about the gifts, your purpose is the overall, is the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then the gifts are those in this case, those abilities,
Yep.
those actions, those talented actions that you
Mhm.
have that can cause things to be steered so that your purpose is achieved as a result of that steering with the gifts.
Mm. Got you. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Wow, 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 wow. You dropped so many gems, bro. Thank you so much. Where can we let listeners? We're going to plug into your Instagram to get connected with you and learn more about also your podcast
Yeah.
and your agency. But anywhere else we want to give links
Yeah.
or
Yeah. The main thing is Instagram, Tolu, TOLU.OWOYEMI. And the podcast is called Mastermind Your Life. As soon as you type it into Google, it'll be like the first thing that pops up. So definitely go stream it. A whole bunch of great episodes and a whole bunch more greater even episodes to come. And we're happy to serve you and help you, reach that next level.
love it, brother. Thank you so much, bro, for blessing the people. You gave tremendous value today. Thank you so much, bro.
Yes, yes. I appreciate you, David, bringing me on the show, chopping it up. And this was great, man. I like this.
Awesome, awesome. I do too, man. It's great.